Daddy Squared. Gay Dad Saved the World.
A daily dose of gay dads on the front lines of the global pandemic.
With Alex McGann and Jan Dick.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Daddy Squared, Gay Dads Save the World. Alex, you know, we talk about every day, we ask people what are their silver linings in all of these pandemics.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about our silver linings.
Okay.
For a little bit.
Well, you start.
So, first of all, I think that for me, at least, the biggest one is that I'm used to be slave to the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
What is called the FOMO. Now it's the JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Oh, Jesus.
Experiencing the life without this fear of, you know, constantly they're doing this and look at what they're doing and let's go out. And
You really
so
think you're not doing that anymore, huh?
Yeah, do I do that? It's less because, you know, there's nothing to do there outside.
Yeah, but there are still feeds that you look at. Those feeds.
Well, that's something else. That's insecurities.
Okay.
So that's one. So I get to experience what it's like and to practice life without without this fear of missing out. Mm-hmm. Also, I feel that I've asked a lot of questions about myself and about our relationship and about my parenting. So, and I think it's I'll come out of this with some insights. And the last one is that you know that one of the things that I struggle with the most, and I have been struggling for years, is it's social interactions. And now that I have social distancing, it's kind of my comfort zone. But at the same time, it feels like no, I think that I should overcome this. I feel that I want to have more people in my life, more friends, more,
Right.
You know, to go out places, not to be stuck at home all the time, like I used to. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for me going out to the world.
I buy it.
I think that's the best thing that happened to me, that I'm actually realizing how much I do need company and how much I do need friends and people. And so all of y'all, just contact me at hello@daddysqr.com. Let's be friends. That's all.
I agree because I know you, and I think that it's true. I will say that mine. There's no doubt that I have the same feelings that a lot of our guests have had, and that you have, about the value of the close time that we have with our family that we might otherwise not see or experience. But I have two other ones that are, they're, let's say, additional. This is a crisis, and it will always be known and remembered as a crisis. But it will also be something that my children and you and I remember way back when they were 4 years old, as that period of time when we were together in the house and it was a crisis. And as horrible as crises are, there is something beautiful to the kind of sharing that we will have of this memory together. And I'm excited that we have that we will always have as we all age. The second one is kind of political, kind of sociological, but here's the thing, and I could absolutely be wrong, but I have a feeling that this experience has taught Americans, anyway, so much about what it means to have a social safety net. You know, for the longest time, it was kind of easy to say, well, you know, those homeless people and those poor people, whatever, they're suffering, but, you know, the rest of us are okay, and so we don't need to spend as much money on big government things, etc. And you look at this and you say, oh my God, we didn't have enough tests. Oh my God, we weren't organized enough. Oh my God, all of this kind of thing. And I hope that what will happen after all of this is that people will have a much greater tolerance for the idea that we have to spend money together to be prepared so that we can take care of each other in times like these. So I really believe that will have an impact. I hope it has an impact in November, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and the winner of this period of time is Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today we're calling Oregon. We're calling a social worker named David Sant.
He's still doing what he has to do, what social workers have to do, despite a pandemic, to take care of people's problems. I mean, they have problems that predate a pandemic, and they don't go away just because COVID's around.
Right. Okay, let's call him. Hello. Hi, David. It's Jan. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, David. It's Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
David, can you please start by telling us what do you do for work and how has it changed during the pandemic?
Sure. So I work for a large academic center here in the Portland Metro. And my team specifically works with people who are insecurely housed, homeless, have chronic, complex medical and mental health and substance use and, all the things. And we work to, on one hand, help reduce their utilization of the hospital system, and on the other hand, and more importantly, help connect them to the services that they feel are missing in their lives. So we often are connecting them through the use of clinical interventions. We meet folks wherever they are. That could be in shelters, on the street, in their homes, at appointments, quite literally wherever they are.
And that was all of what you just described was the case before the pandemic in terms of
That's correct. That's correct. And we really focused a lot on systems barriers for folks. So life was already pretty rough for people who are insecurely housed or are homeless. When COVID came around, the response to COVID that became very, very difficult for both my team and for the people we serve. Certainly, there was a fear of vulnerable people who are already vulnerable getting sick. So that was concern number one, and making sure that they didn't die outside. Part B of that is the fears that providers had of getting sick, and so people lost access to shelter because all the shelters started to implement the 6-foot minimum rule, which was great, but also meant that they had to create more shelters just for the people who are already in shelter.
Right. Look, there's a tremendous value to the lockdown and the approach that we're taking to try to, what they say, flatten the curve and,
Absolutely.
And all that. Yet, on the other hand, one does need to measure all of the different forms of suffering and death that exist in the world, and you can't just say, "Oh, we gotta protect ourselves against COVID" at the expense of everything else in society. And so, I'll ask you, for the population of people that you have worked with and take care of, so what's happened to them as a result of the policies as opposed to the virus itself?
So for I would say all of us, it's like life just sort of went on pause, right, for a little while, and we're sort of grappling with this idea that are we going to reopen? What's life going to be like afterwards? But it's been very focused on COVID. The truth is, life didn't just stop when COVID hit. And all the things that people were experiencing before COVID continued to happen. Everything from child abuse, domestic violence, homelessness, chronic disease, all of the things all the suffering that people experience, but now is more amplified. And as housed folks, we experience the same things. Like life doesn't just stop because of COVID. We've got families and loved ones, and we've got our own anxieties and how we're coping with those anxieties. Houseless folks are experiencing the same. So I think what these policies have created, they were made for people who aren't living in the margins.
Right.
And then providers who serve people who are living in the margins had to sort of adapt to that. And unfortunately, that has meant that people who are sleeping outside or are insecurely housed are even more at risk because they're no longer the primary concern because everyone's talking about COVID. No one's going downtown. No one is, it's not as an upfront issue as it had been prior to COVID.
We, of course, can only imagine and probably can't imagine particularly well either. And because we don't have a long history of doing interviews, I'm going to ham-handedly switch subjubjects. I don't know what
worries.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you have at home?
Sure.
Who's the family?
My husband and I, we just celebrated 14 years yesterday.
Oh, congratulations. That's wonderful.
Yeah. We have a very busy 4-year-old who is the ultimate boy. We just got done having a water fight, and he just wants to wrestle and tear through the house and go on 8-mile bike rides, and then finally crashes at the end of the day.
Have you at least attempted to introduce him to Cher and Madonna? Or
what's funny about that is my husband will do the Jack McFarland Cher voice, and he will copy that.
All right. So he'll be okay.
Hysterical.
All right. That's good. Tell me a little bit about, so what does your husband do? Is he out of the house during the day, or is he working from home?
It's sort of a mixture. He works in process improvement at another healthcare system in the Portland Metro. And so he is both in and out of the office. Luckily, the school that my kiddo goes to for daycare was able to remain open because of the number of healthcare providers that have kiddos there.
Interesting. So he's going to school during the weekdays.
Yes.
Okay.
And I love my son, and also, good Lord, I can't even imagine having to entertain him all day.
You don't need to imagine. Come to our house. We have twin 4-year-olds.
School.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's nothing. It's so easy. I only cry 3 or 4 times a day.
Only.
Can you tell us a little bit about a lot of things are horrible right now, but there have to be some positive experiences that you've been taking from this.
So, both professionally and personally, it has been wonderful to have a break. I'm also getting a second master's degree right now. And so I feel like I was just running constantly. And it's been nice to sort of pause and evaluate what's going on in my life. And I get to spend more time with my kiddo, which has been really great. I get to watch TV, which never was an option really before. I guess professionally is we've had some pretty wonderful successes, even amidst all of this. And it just reminds me of how resilient we all are. And no matter how bad things may get, we can still acknowledge these moments of success. And so I'm just, I'm grateful that I get to spend time with my kiddo and just veg on the couch and eat terribly and decide to exercise at noon and, all the things that have come along with this.
Let's talk eat terribly.
Yes. Now, David, we need to switch gears to the most important part of our interview, which is also the last part. This is the confessional portion where we do, in fact, want you to describe to us the very worst and most disgusting thing that you have eaten over the course of the last several weeks.
One thing?
Well, pick one that will, really resonate for people.
Yeah. So I was craving cake, and I made chocolate cake with peanut butter buttercream, and I ate almost the whole thing by myself.
Yes, excellent.
I also secretly, not so secretly,
Not anymore. It's not secret.
Eat ice cream after my kiddo goes to bed. I like hover in the kitchen by myself and just eat ice cream
Right.
in solitude.
Yes.
So
I love
really
that.
comforting.
I suspect, by the way, that if you were to drive up and down the streets of many, many neighborhoods in America after like 9 p.m., you'd see a lot of people standing in their like kitchen windows with a bucket of ice cream in their hands.
Yep.
It's happening a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, in solidarity with everyone. That's exactly what is happening.
David, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And of course, thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Of course. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a great one.
You too.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
That is clear.